Going all self-conscious now. Thanks, Anne. Thanks, Dawn. Sorry. Brilliant.
Thank you.
There's Marie. You're sitting in the dark there, Marie. That's really like. Is that because it's nighttime, or just because you've chosen to?
Actually, it is well, yeah, it's still dark out here. But
Okay.
my light bulbs have burnt out, and I just haven't got around to putting new, like,
Okay.
my light right at this end of the room.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a new Zoom disguising exercise.
Oh, no, it's totally accidental, believe me.
Okay.
So we are at 301, 701 or 1001. I think that's a few time zones there. I think we should get started and welcome everybody to our last Zoom of the year, which is zoomed by, I have to say. It has gone very, very quickly, but here we are in December, and it's quite incredible. So I'm excited for today's guest speaker, Anne. Thank you. Welcome. I'm looking forward to your wisdom. You already started sharing wisdom, so I have high hopes for today.
No pressure here.
And Tim, is there anything that you need to share with the group to start off, or?
No, I think just to say, I've always got some odds and sods of housekeeping, haven't I? But I think just for anybody that's still interested in sort of learning more about YouTube and getting their stuff up there, the long session that we did is still available on the Facebook page. I think it's still up there. So it's an unedited Zoom call, questions flying in all the time. Was it 2.5 hours? I think it was, Melanie, wasn't it? But yeah, I know it was exceptionally long. So it's a huge file at the moment. But if you want to take advantage of that, it is there. It's going to take me a while to get round to having the time to edit it and put it into nice, neat modules. But that will be an intention. But just to highlight that for people that are interested in doing that. Not that I'm the font of all knowledge, and Linda has already popped a video up, which is fantastic. So well done her for taking that first step. That's brilliant. I do propose that we do some more group work together for those that are interested and do want to get up onto YouTube and make it work for them. I've just yet to sort of think through how I feel happiest about us doing that. If anybody's got any ideas and wants to pop any comments on the Facebook page, then obviously please do so. And we will, between Melanie and I, the emphasis being on Melanie, we will sort it out. We will get it sorted. So I'm very, very grateful to Melanie for keeping things busier on there than previously. So that's really, really of great value. So thank you very much indeed for that. And well done, everybody. That is, moving forward and making stuff happen for themselves. Shall I dive straight in and introduce Anne, because I want to pass the buck over to Anne?
That would be perfect. I think just to add to what you were saying, Tim, our new page is going well. Thank you to everybody that's sharing on that and commenting. The more that we do that, the more the page will get out there. So I think it's made a good start. So thank you all. And Tim, yes, please do introduce Anne, and let's get into it.
Okay, that's great. And actually, that's a really good point, because that public facing page is a great little thing. I must make sure I get back on it as well. So Anne Perry, numerologist. She signs herself that on emails that you get from Anne. It's great. It's lovely. Numerology is something that is one of those areas of subtle realm kind of activity and goings on that I've never really paid a great deal of attention to. But You know how the universe or spirit just gently kind of just keeps putting things back in your awareness, and really it's saying you should pay attention to this, look at this, consider this, have a look at it. So Anne cropped up in my inbox. She was introduced to me by somebody that I'd been talking to on YouTube, and we sorted out, we had a little interview, didn't we? We talked about dowsing and house healing and all that sort of stuff on Anne's great YouTube channel, and she's got her own community, which is a fantastic little space. Well, in fact, it's not so little. It's quite a lovely space there. Now, Anne was kind enough to invite me to speak on her channel in the summer, and what was obvious, even from just our initial chit chat before we sort of had the interview, was that she's a lady of great, not only is she great humor, but also she has great intuitive wisdom, and we've already experienced some of that already today. So the fact that she also works with numerology is really an added bonus as far as I'm concerned. And what I would she's going to talk to us a little bit about what's in store for us all next year with 2024. And obviously she will, I'm assuming, will give us a little bit of background to how she got to where she is now, but also tell us a little bit about numerology in general. So clearly within the group, within the network, we've got people of different understandings and different stages of their development and all the rest of it. But what I can guarantee is that you're going to really enjoy whatever it is that Anne has to share with us today. So on that note, it's over to you, Anne.
My goodness. Thank you so much, Tim. Appreciate it. We always have fun together anytime we connect. So this should be good. And Tim is actually going to be our little guinea pig today because I've already done your chart up. So you better be nice to me. Excuse me. So how did I get into numerology? Well, several years ago, I was going through a bit of a rough patch. And I guess it was 2000, it was 20 years ago, 2003. And I went into a bit of a depression, to be perfectly honest. I was stuck. I was in a 7 personal year. I didn't know where I wanted to go. I didn't know who I was, didn't know what my purpose was. I was just spiraling around the drain. You've probably all been there at some point. And I got through it. So a couple of years later, I discovered numerology. And what I discovered was what was called an essence. And we're going to be talking about essences a little bit later today in this program. And the essences just jumped out off the page to me. And it made sense of why I had gone through such a crappy time in 2003, right? So the essence is something that comes from your birth name. I'll explain it later. But point is, if someone had told me that I was going to go through a real shithole in, can I swear? When I was going to go in that in March or whatever of one year, I would come out of it the next year, right? It was only a 1 year time. And if I'd known that going in, I would have been so much better off, right? I would have handled it differently because I would have known there was a light at the end of the tunnel. But I didn't know there was a light at the end of the tunnel because I was in the darkness, right? I don't know if you guys can relate to that or not, but it was pretty scary and it was pretty dark. And I just wanted to just leave my world, leave my business, leave my husband, leave my kids, all of it. So fast forward, I started practicing numerology. I was a Reiki master, am a Reiki master, and I somehow managed to blend the numerology into the Reiki. I blended it into a lot of other facets I was doing, hypnotherapy and a bunch of other stuff. But I guess what I learned from all of it was that I really do speak numbers. I am intuitive, there's no question, but the way that I communicate is through numbers. As soon as I meet you, I want to know what your date of birth is, right? Because I have an 8 personality, which is a big personality, right? So I know that I can be a little intimidating. I know I can be a little bit in your face kind of thing. I don't mean any harm by it, but that's just who I am. And to be true to myself, I got to stay who I am, right? But it's nice, for example, when I was working in the real job, as my now ex-husband called it, I used to like to know what people's dates of birth were because I'd know how to manage my energy with their energy. And we could just become a little bit, better partners in the business. So everything's made of numbers, as you likely know, right? I'm sure that you have used a lot of numbers related to the pendulum work you're doing and and just a lot of the types of work you're doing with dowsing and that sort of thing. Numbers do come into play. But basically, what I love to look at are people's dates of birth. I like to look at their first name. I like to look at their full name on their birth certificate, because it just speaks volumes to me, and I can help them to understand what the heck they're here for, what they signed up for, and what's this journey all about, and how do we get the best out of the journey, because the journey is really made up of the lessons. Your date of birth is commonly referred to as the life path number. Okay, so the life path number is made up. There's different ways to do the calculations, and that's not really important right now, but the date of birth tells me what lessons you've agreed to sign up for. Okay, so rather than being a victim of life's circumstances, we can look at that and go, oh, okay, that's what I'm here to learn. That's why that obstacle keeps coming up. Isn't that interesting? How do I overcome that obstacle? How do I turn that obstacle into an opportunity rather than always seeing it as a limitation, right? So the date of birth tells me your sub lesson from your day, the actual day that you were born on. Tells me the cycles that you're in. It tells me the personal year you're in and the influence it's going to have over you. There's all kinds of stuff I can learn just by looking at that before even knowing what your name is. So what I want to do today, I don't want to go into the history of numerology because that's just boring, right? You can look that up anywhere. What I want to talk about is how is this all affecting you guys? So 2024 is going to be quite a powerful year for sure. Now, I did create a PowerPoint. Is it possible to share it? Do you have to make me a co-host or something to make that happen?
Yeah, you should be able to share it.
Perfect. Thanks, Don. Right. And then we're going to go to slideshow. Oh, goodness. That actually worked. Yay. So we look at 2024. It's going to be a year on steroids. I'm not kidding. Like, this is, if there was ever a year for you guys to kind of figure out what the heck is 2024 going to be all about, it's this year, right? So we're going to be exploring the overall theme for 2024, and we're also going to be looking at how is your personal year going to be affected by the influence of 2024. So given that 2023 has had us all in our heads, this has been a 7 universal year. It's really time to put everything into motion that we were pondering or thinking about or considering in 2023. We know that 2023 was a 7 universal year because 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 3 equals 7, right? So the 7 creates this umbrella influence, if you will. Regardless of where you are in your 9-year cycle, from 1 to 9, every year has a different theme to it from 1 to 9. Regardless of where you are, we know that the 7 is always going to be an influence for you in this particular year. So the universal year begins January 1st, ends December 31st. Now, I know there are some astrologers that feel differently about this, but numerologists believe that we go January to December, so that's how we're presenting it today. So this means that we've all kind of been in our heads. It means that we've all been kind of a little stuck, spiraling around the drain a little bit, trying to figure out what's going on. Probably really exploring our spirituality and our connection to spirit, maybe exploring different courses, different themes related to our lives. Reflection is a big part of this, introspection. Maybe you didn't feel like you really wanted to connect a whole lot with a bunch of people. The 7 causes us to kind of go into our cave, right? We don't really want to hang out with a bunch of people. So that might have been where you guys were, because I would consider you guys to be energetically sensitive. And sometimes those of us who are energetically sensitive just prefer to be in the cave, right? So this is a very good year, conducive to that. So 2024 is going to be an 8 universal year because 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4 equals 8. I only do simple math. That's why I'm here. So the 8 universal year, the general theme for it is that the 8 vibration is going to observe what we call the law of cause and effect. Okay, so often what rolls out in an 8 universal year is as a result of the decisions that have been made years before. So you might see some of your decisions playing out in your 8 universal year. Maybe you made an investment back in, a different year, whatever. My math is not good this early. But maybe you made a decision several years ago, and now the result or the consequences, if you will, of that decision are likely to show up. So this can be related to personal decisions that you've made, of course, but more so what we're talking about here with the universal year is decisions that maybe are, leaders have made, government authorities, that sort of thing have made. Financial and material gain, big focus this year, being that it is an 8 on financial advancement, success in business, investments, but it also can include a lot of fluctuation in the money markets. So it's going to be a little sketchy doing any kind of investing next year, to be perfectly honest. It's a little bit, I don't know, you could do extremely well or you could lose it all as well. So you've really got to practice a lot of discernment when it comes to doing any kind of investing next year. Really good for career opportunities and career advancement. Particularly if this career advancement is going to involve some management or some authority opportunities. That's a really good opportunity for that. It's an energy that's going to promote power and confidence, allowing you to finally stand in your power. Possibly you've been giving your power away. It's going to give you an opportunity to look at where you've been giving it away and how do you reclaim it, right? It's a great time to set goals and to pursue them, because the 8 overall is a manifestation energy, right? This is about, let's make it happen. When you think about the number 8 and you turn it on its side, it becomes the infinity knot, right? So it's, what goes around comes around sort of thing. So although the 8 is about success, it does, it is about money and power and authority and all these things. It also really stresses the need for balance in your life, regardless of where you are on your chart. Okay. And I'm going to be showing you where each and every one of you is on your chart here in a minute. So you want to manage your money and your time very effectively this year. Like you have to remember that we only get the opportunity to experience this energy once in a 9-year cycle. Okay. So, you just can't let it go by. It's 365 days, right? So you want to make sure that you're really tapping into it, because once it's gone for another 9 years. That doesn't mean to say that you can't execute what I'm suggesting any other year. It just means that you need to do your best in the 8 personal or 8 universal year. It's easier. Things just go more freely. They go a little bit more effortlessly when we're in alignment with what the energy is. Okay. So it's going to be a time to take responsibility for your actions, because remember, whatever you put into play is going to come full circle again in the next 9 years. So you want to really own the way that you choose to respond to things. We always have the power of choice. So given that the 8 is about manifestation, you might see the results of your previous actions come to light in 2024. I think I already mentioned that. So be sure to make choices that are going to align with your long-term goals. This isn't about a short-term thing here. This is about your long-term goals. Otherwise, the poor decisions are going to manifest themselves in the next 8-year cycle. So social status may become important to you this year. The opportunity for leadership in your workplace, possibly in your community or maybe in your social circles, possibly within your home, might present themselves. On a global scale, there's undoubtedly going to be a focus on global economic conditions. We're all feeling it. We're all seeing it. Inflation is everywhere. It's out of control. I don't know what it's like in where you live, but I was in town yesterday and the tent cities are popping up everywhere. It's just unbelievable. We had a massive storm the other night and people were sleeping under tarps out in a field. Like, this is Canada, like it just blows my mind that this is actually happening, but it is happening. So the economic conditions are not going to go away and improve overnight. The financial markets, definitely the stock market and such, stock exchange, they are all going to be highlighted in the news. Global power dynamics are going to come to light. So this could include struggles for power within global leaders, an escalated need for power reflected in the wars. There could be a sudden change in leadership, possibly too. I'm not going to lie, guys. I am a little concerned about next year, to be perfectly honest, given what's going on in Israel, Palestine, the Ukraine. The 8 energy is an energy that is going to really promote a need for power, right? People pounding their chests and the ego gets inflated, and the authorities are going to want more power. They're going to want more authority. So I can't lie. I'm a little bit nervous about how this is going to escalate. However, what I'm going to say to that is we have to be very, very careful where we place our energy. If we do like most people do, but we're not like most people, right? But if we do, well, like most people, we kind of fall into the trap of being nervous about the news, you know, and the fear mongering that goes on and the escalation and the anxiety and all this stuff that's going on. It just gets bigger and bigger. So I encourage you to turn off the news. You know, you just need to see enough, hear enough to keep yourself informed, and that's it, right? Because this is not helping the planet. You guys know this. I'm not, you know, I'm not teaching you anything you don't already know. But I think we need to be very, very aware of where we place our thoughts, where we place our energy next year, because the last thing we want to do is throw fuel on that fire of fear, because that's exactly what these power hungry leaders are looking for, is to make us afraid and to lower our vibrations. So we know better than anybody out there how to keep our vibrations running high. So that's our responsibility, not just to ourselves, but also to the planet. There's going to be a heightened awareness of the need for balance and justice also on a global scale. Again, the consequences of actions from the past are going to be highlighted this year. It's going to be a year where balance is going to be a little bit more difficult for all of us, regardless of what personal year we are in. Because again, the 8 says advancement. The 8 says, I got to create something, I got to make it happen. And if you're a bit of a workaholic, the tendency, of course, is going to lean into your work, leaving your family kind of wondering, where the heck is she? You know, so or he. So I wanted to make sure that you are aware that there's a balance that's going to be calling you to always stay grounded, right? Stay grounded. Recognize what are your priorities. What are they going to be for 2024? Because you will be seduced to think that you have to be much bigger than what you are. So just take a breath, stay grounded, and try and plug into earth energy when you can. Technological, business advancements, all super common.
Could you tweet us?
That's the 8.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Talk about you guys. All right. Does anybody have any questions before I move on to your personal year? You good? Okay. So how's your personal year going to be affected by 2024? So the universal year, as we know, is calculated by adding up the numbers in the year in question. Okay, so in 2024, it adds up to 8. Now, this is an interesting exercise I'm going to put you through that you can use for previous years too. So if you're saying, I wonder what my personal year was for 2002, well, we'd add up 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 2 equals 4. Okay. So in order to determine which personal year you're in, all you're going to do is simply add your month of birth to your day of birth, and then add the universal year to it. So that's the number 8. Okay, so for example, November 26th, even though November, as some of you who are a little bit more familiar with numerology, I know that November is a master number, but we're not going to observe that right now. We're just going to say November is 1 plus 1, the 26th day, 2 plus 6, and then we add the 8 to it. It comes to 18, and 1 plus 8 equals 9. So there's no need to observe master numbers here. We just simply add it straight across, reduce it to a single number, right? Simple math again, right? That's what I do. All right, let's talk about anybody here in a personal year of 1. This is all about new beginnings. This is the start of a cycle. It's very energetic. So remember that these are personal years, but how is 2024's 8 influence going to affect you? What I'm talking about now is not going to affect you for every year, because the influence of the universal year will change. Okay, but so this is very specific to what's going to be happening and how you may be feeling in 2024. So this is all about new beginnings. Very ambitious energy. It's go time. The universe will naturally flood you with go time energy, right? Unlike the year before, you might have been dragging your heels a little bit. This particular year, it's go time. So the 8 universal year is going to turbocharge your efforts to get moving. It will have a powerful, powerful influence on you. So it's a time to plant some seeds, especially in relation to building a business. Now, if this was a year of 1 with a 2 universal year, the 2 emphasizes partnership. Okay, so that would be like, year of 1, new beginnings. The influence of the 2 would be on partnerships. But in this case, we're looking at the 8 universal influence. So that's why I say it's time to plant seeds related likely to building a business or something to do with your money, focusing on your career, your financial portfolio. It's also going to be supporting you to set new healthy boundaries with people. Remember, the power and authority relates to the 8. You might start looking at people that you've been giving your power away. And I always say when the 8 comes in, it's like there's a new bitch in town and you're probably not going to like her very much, right? So we're all going to be influenced by that. So this is a really good start. I love I love the 8 universal year over the 1 personal year. Like this is lottery win stuff, right? This is really, really good. So I hope some of you are going to be going into a 1 personal year. So the 1, it's all about you. Okay. It's all being number 1. When we move into a year of 2, the focus is no longer just on you. It's about you and somebody else. So the focus now is on partnerships. But because of the 8 influence, now it's a focus on partnerships related to financial success. So this is you possibly entering into a partnership where the shift of the focus is going to be away from yourself, but rather it's now going to be on achieving shared goals, right? So once again, that 8 universal year is going to be supporting partnerships to ensure the success of the partnership. So if you are in business and you are, or thinking of getting into business, maybe you started a business last year in your year of 1, this is the year to consider bringing in a partner where you can actually build the business and work together to create the income that you want, the success that you want. All right, so year of 1, it's all about you. Year of 2 is about you and 1 other person. Then we go from the partnership into the 3, which brings in the interest in being social again. The year of 1 doesn't really care about being social. It's all about them. The year of 2 says, I don't really want to be alone anymore. I kind of want to get into partnership, but I don't really want that social side. When you come into the 3, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can be social again. Let's have some fun. So when we go into that personal year of 3, the 3 is about creativity and self-expression. So the 3 is naturally inspired to express their creative sides, the energy of the 3. It's going to be focused on financial reward related to whatever creative projects that you've created. So it's a great time to promote your creative ideas with the idea that you could make some money at it. This is part of a business. There's financial rewards at the end of this. Excuse me. So 1 is about you, 2 is about the partnership, 3 is about the social side, 4 says, gotta go back to work, gotta get focused. The 3 is not very focused, right? The 3 is kind of out there in a little scattered butterfly, shiny things, all that. So when we come into that personal year of 4, the 4 says, I need to create a step-by-step plan. The 4 is always about the foundation, 4 posts into the ground. So in order for you to take advantage of the 8 energy coming in, right, you need to create a plan. This is super important. This is a really, really nice lineup, by the way, if anybody's in this. So it's going to be a great year to revisit your financial portfolio and to come up with that step-by-step plan for financial success as you move forward. So the 8 we know is all about manifestation, but in order to be able to manifest, we first have to focus on a plan, and we need to be very diligent to focus on the details to see it through to the end, right? You can't just start it and not finish it. The 3 has a tendency to start things and not finish them. The 4 says, I got to get focused. I got to get to work. It may cause you to feel a little stuck because one of the things with the 4 is the 4 brings in this crazy ability to focus. But our natural tendency is to focus on what's not working, what's not right. If you think about it, you've got a hangnail, right? You've got a really bad hangnail, and I'm talking to you and whatever. What are you thinking about? You're not thinking about what I'm saying. You're thinking about the fact that your thumb is throbbing because you have a hangnail. It's that irritating thing that's right in front of your face. So we want to be really, really careful. Remembering, again, you only get this lineup once in a 9-year cycle, okay? So the 4 is about putting some sound ideas into practice, things that you've started in your year of 1. You may have partnered up with somebody. If you didn't partner up with somebody, you had to be patient during that year of 2. And then in the year 3, the creative juices start rolling. It's like, oh, I know I want to be creating a website. Oh, there's some ideas, I can do it. But you might not have been able to land on any of it. It might have been like all over the place. Come into the year of 4, you're naturally going to be able to focus, but you got to focus on what you want to create rather than what you don't want. Okay, because the universe will always give you what you don't want if you express you don't want something, because the subconscious mind does not recognize the words don't, not, and no. When you say I don't want this, you've basically said I want this. All right, when we move into the year of 5, very different energy of the 5. I want to pause on that just for a second. You'll note that as we're moving through all of these years, 1 year is going to provide one energy. The next year will provide the absolute polar opposite. You know, the 1 says, I want to be alone. The 2 says, but I want partnership. 2 says, I want partnership. The 3 says, yeah, but I want to see the crowd, right? The 3 says, I want to see the crowd and be creative and flighty. And the 4 says, no, I got to be focused, right? So they throw you forward one year and then they'll roll you back in the next. I hope that makes sense. So to my point, the 4 personal year may cause you to feel a little bit stuck. It's all about work. It's all about focus and the details. And someone like Tim doesn't like the year of 5 because, or the year of 4 because he's a 5, right? He likes things to kind of be exciting and change things up a little bit. But you might feel like you're wearing a straitjacket, you know, when you're in a personal year of 4. Get ready. So it's a little clue. So when we move into the year of 5, complete opposite. So the year of 5 is going to be, I want some freedom. I want to take the straitjacket off. I am done following the rules. I am done coloring inside of the lines, right? I want to play a little bit. Looking for a little bit more excitement this year. You might have felt a little bit stuck, but this year it's go time again in the personal year of 5. You're going to need to stay very open to new opportunities that are going to encourage change and are going to foster inevitable financial growth. So you need to remain flexible and adaptable and to be able to roll with sometimes the very scattered nature of that 5 personal year. 5's kind of all over the place. It's a fun year though. When we go into the 6, rather than the 5 that says, I just want to come and go as I please, I want to get on that bus and I want to take off to wherever, the year of 6 brings in that need for responsibility. So those who are in a 6 personal year are going to be asked to focus on achieving financial success, but also the big piece here, guys, is maintaining balance in your personal life. Okay. The 8 brings in a lot of ambition, and the 6 brings in that need to be disciplined and focused, not so much discipline in part, but more responsible and a keener sense of balance. And all of this relates to your home and your family. Okay. So you may be pulled in a couple of different directions as you try to establish the balance between your family responsibility with your work responsibility. Remember that 8 says, I must manifest, I must make it happen, I must make the money, I've got to deliver. And your kids are at home going, will we ever see you again? So you're getting yanked in a couple of different directions. So it also brings in that need for perfectionism. So you can appreciate the pressure on you that you might feel in a personal year of 6 related to perfectionism, and that influence of the 8 that says, I must make the money, but I've got to be perfect. So I'm not going to take any risks or chances because, you know, I've got to make this perfect. So you might not want to, you know, put up that video on YouTube. You might not want to take that risk and put yourself out there and put your shingle out, or, you know, create a Facebook page, things like that under this umbrella. It might also be bringing an interest into your physical home, the actual physical dwelling. Is it time to move? Like, is this place too big for us? Is this too small for us? Do we need upsize, downsize? You'll really be considering the costs of staying where you're living. The 8 is about the money, the 6 is about the home. So maybe renovating is a possibility, or even considering the financial needs of your family. I promise you, in the personal year of 6 with an 8 umbrella of the universal year, you're probably going to have one of your kids or somebody coming to you saying, hey, you know, need a little help here. Get ready because it's coming. So the 6 is all about this real connection to the family, the responsibilities of the family. That can be your work family as well. And by the time you roll into your 7 personal year, that's when you're kind of going, whoa, back off, everybody, right? I was there for you last year. I took care of your needs last year. I paid your bills last year. I worried about you last year. Guess what, guys? I'm going into my cave this year. It's all about me right now. So this becomes far more introspective and reflective. You're probably going to give a lot of thought to where you are financially. You'll be giving a lot of thought to, you know, how have I taught people how to treat me? You know, have I set up some healthy boundaries? Have I honored the boundaries? Have I allowed people to burst right through the boundaries? Which obviously is teaching them how to disrespect you. So this is going to bring in an opportunity to balance your spiritual interests with your material success. So it could be an opportunity, as many of you are, what it feels like to me is you're looking to start your businesses. This could be a great year to develop a business related to your interest in spirituality and the woo-woo and the metaphysical and all these good things, because that's all 7 stuff, right? It's a time to start integrating that inner wisdom. You know, you take some time out to be introspective and reflective over the last 6 years. Where am I? Where am I going? What's the trajectory? Do I need to kind of adjust the direction that I'm going? Do I need to give up that practice? Do I need to give up that course? Do I need to take a different direction? Grounding, 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 super important with a personal year 7, because the 7, I know it well because I am a 7 life path. The 7 is a head case number. Okay, so it causes us to be very much up here, and it doesn't allow us to get to here. So what happens is we have a tendency to make decisions based on what we think we should do. We knock on the door of the ego and go, "Yo, ego, I'm here, right? What do you think I should do?" And the ego's like, "Oh, I can't wait to mess her up. I can't wait to get her completely confused and directionless, because that's what I do best," right? Making decisions from the head. So what we want to focus on with the 7 energy is, how do we drop from the head? How do we get to the heart space and make these decisions from our heart, right? You can hang your hat on a decision, a heartfelt decision, but you can't if you're making them from your head, okay? So the 7 is a really, really important time not to make big decisions that are, really big, like leaving a relationship or killing a business or whatever. Like, don't make big decisions, at least until late in the year of a 7 personal year, because you're too invested in your head. It's too much of a mental condition that you're in. Especially big money decisions next year. Don't even think about it, right? I think you would really second guess it and may not make the best decisions for yourself. So be careful with that. Ground, ground, ground. Maybe you've been thinking about creating a spiritual business. This is the time to research it. This is the time to turn all the stones over, do your research, check out what it's going to cost to create a website. What would that even look like? What do you want to offer? Why do you want to offer it? Do the who, what, why, where's, and when's in your 7 personal year. But you may want to wait until an 8 personal year to actually do it. Okay, the 7, like I said, it's not a great year to do that. Take advantage of the universal year of the 8, that influence, and then go for it in your personal year of 8. But just think it through. Now, I want to pause on that just for a second and explain that in January, I should have explained this earlier. In January, you get a full cup of whatever your personal year is. Okay, and for every day that goes by, a little bit of that energy is blasting out over your calendar and influencing your experience. By the time we get to about October, the energy of whatever your personal year is almost gone, because the cup's almost empty, right? So what happens is we start getting a little bit of energy of the following year. So we know Tim, for example, is in a 3 personal year. He's moving into his 4 personal year. He's already starting to feel, I got to get to work. I got to get focused. Got to get that Facebook page up. I got to, all these I got to do's are coming. He's already feeling it. Even though he still has 1 foot in the energy of the 3, he's also got 1 foot in the energy of the 4. So he's kind of straddling. So this is what I call a shoulder season. So you've got October to the end of December is the first part of the shoulder season, where you're still in this present year and you've got 1 foot in the next year. And then when you actually come into January of that year, you're still bringing with you a little bit of the 3 while you're in a 4, and that'll stay with you until about the 1st of April. So there's about a 6-month shadow season where you kind of got a little bit of both going on. So you don't really feel the effects of what I'm talking about until we get to about the 1st of April. That's when it really comes full on. So 1st of April to the 1st of October is go time, right? That's biggie sized energy for that timeline. When we look at the personal year of 8, can I get a hell yeah, right? The 8 personal year with an 8 universal year. Holy moly, lottery win this year. Seriously, 8 on an 8 is an absolutely beautiful vibration to have. It's a strong vibration. It's a huge need to put it together. That's why I'm hoping that in your 7 personal year, you would have given a lot of thought to what you want to manifest in your 8 personal year, because it does not get any nicer than this. This is your personal year on steroids, seriously. The combination is going to be really great for things related to management, business, money, financial stuff, leadership. It's a great year to create a new plan for financial success. Maybe you have to reorganize your finances. Maybe you need to reorganize your business in some way. It's a hugely strong vibration that's going to bring a lot more confidence and a lot more courage. So if you guys are kind of wallflowers, a little quiet, this is going to really draw you out. So you want to be careful with it. As I said earlier, I have an 8 personality. So I know that when I come into a group dynamic, I have to kind of feel the audience out a little bit, particularly when I was working in corporate and whatnot. I have to kind of stand back a little bit and tone it down a bit. I can't always be 100% myself initially, because I got to find out, are you a life path 2? Okay, that means that you're a lot more sensitive, a lot more intuitive, a little quieter, and you don't deal well with the big ass energy that I bring, right? So I got to know that. But it's the same when you're dealing with personal years. Everybody's being influenced by their personal year, right? So that's what they're going through, and I need to respect that. So if I'm working in a corporate environment, for example, if I know that Joe, who sits in the cubicle next to me, is going through let's say he'd be going through a 4 personal year, he might be really stressed out. He's going to be like super focused. What the heck was this all about? Last year he wasn't. Like, what's wrong with him? There's nothing wrong with him. That's his cycle, right? This is why this is so valuable for us to know how this works for us, but also for the people that we care about, surrounded by. When we go into a personal year of 9, this is the end of the cycle. Okay, so those in a personal year of 9 are going to be looking to tie up loose ends this year. Okay, this is about endings, releasing, and basically putting things to bed. This is a year of endings where you need to make room for new beginnings. Think of the year of 9 as a year where you're creating space. Okay, so we've gone the whole gamut, right? We started at the year of 1, new beginnings. We went to the 2 about partnerships. The 3 was social. The 4 is about your work and focus. The 5 is about your freedom. The 6 is the responsibility. The 7 is what next? The 8 is gonna do it. And the 9 is gotta wrap some stuff up so that I can start again. Okay, so it's a cycle that just keeps going round and round. So the 9 personal year causes us to look at this trunk. Okay, we all carry this trunk, metaphorically. We carry this trunk. It has 3 compartments in the trunk. Okay, the first compartment we look at carries all the people that we've collected over the last 9 years. And we got to look at those people and say, do I get you anymore? Do you get me? Like, are we supporting each other in this? Are we growing together as a relationship, or is this kind of deadwood? Deadwood's got to go, right? If they are not serving you and you are not serving them, they can't stay in the trunk, because you've only got so much room in the trunk for people who will be supportive for you. Okay, so when you recognize these people, and it can be family, you know, if you've got toxic family, it might be time to say, I love you dearly, but I gotta kind of withdraw a little bit. So you kind of spend less and less time with these people, and they get eased out of the trunk. Now, if you are involved in a toxic relationship and you are not going to do anything about it, the universe will blow it up. I promise you, it happens every time, right? So you've got to be very careful that you are paying attention to the company that you're keeping. Okay, the universe only wants you to succeed, but if you're dragging deadwood with you, that's causing you to kind of be held back, ex-husband, you know, you need to release that. So, and I did, and it worked out really, really well. God bless him. But that's sometimes what we have to do. You know, we all have a mission. We all have a purpose. We all have, you know, a plan somewhere. We might not know what it is, but in our soul knows what we're meant to do. We cannot bury ourselves with toxic relationships. So those people, get them out of the trunk, make room for the new ones to come in your 1 personal year. Okay. Next thing you look at, the center of the trunk. The center compartment of your trunk is full of stuff, right? Material stuff. Got my desk here. If I take my desk out, what's going to happen? We know that that leaves a space. I can bring a new desk in if I want, but if I don't want to bring the new desk in, I leave a space, and the space leaves room for an opportunity. So basically, we are clearing space all the time in our year of 9, all the time. So it can be kind of scary, right? So a lot of trust and surrender has to come into place. I'm going into my 9 year next year, and I'm really excited about it, to be honest, because I love setting myself up really well for my year of 1. Remembering again, you get 1 opportunity once in a 9 year cycle to harness the energy the universe is giving you. Okay, so it's the time to purge. You'll really feel it. You'll automatically feel it when you go into the 9 energy to start clearing stuff out. Then the last compartment is up here. Sometimes you got to go there. I know it's a little scary, but sometimes you have to go up there and address your limiting beliefs. What stupid story have you been telling yourself for the last 8 years that isn't true? Or maybe your whole life. You got to kick that shit to the curb, right? Do not take that with you into your year of 1. What a waste, right? I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not tall enough. I'll never make enough money. My business is never going to thrive, blah, 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 whatever. Change the channel on that, right? Now, again, I'm not saying you can't do this. Any other in any one of those years, but it is the easiest and most effective time to do it while you're in a 9 personal year. So we are creating space for new things. You might feel the need to clear up some debt this year, given the 8 universal year influence. Get your finances in better shape. You may also be exploring where someone has been treating you like a bit of a doormat. You've become their bitch, so to speak. It's time to take your power back. It's time to end the way that relationship has been rolling out. The 8 says, take your power back. The 9 says, end that, like end whatever is going on. If someone is taking advantage of you, maybe you've taught them to take advantage of you. That's likely the case. Stop that behavior in your 9 year. Again, assessing the company that you're keeping. Are these people building you up or tearing you down? If they're disempowering you in any way, it's time to let them go. And if they're disempowering you in any way and you don't see it, I'm promising you the universe will do something to blow that relationship up. There'll be an argument that'll happen, or the person will move away or whatever. Okay. But whatever is standing in your way of you owning your own personal power and authority, it needs to go. So this is your final opportunity. This is the final roll call to clean it up after 8 years of life experiences. So create the space that you can travel light next year. You want that trunk to be really empty. But wait, there's more. We want to talk briefly about the essences. I just want to give you a little bit of a taste as to what we can see when we look at a numerology chart. Okay. So the personal year holds a really big influence on your yearly experience, but it's only one small piece of your unique puzzle. Now, what I'm about to share with you is something I don't think I've ever heard any other numerologist talk about. Quote me if I'm wrong, but I've never heard anybody really talk about the essences. So, if Tim and I were in the same personal year, I would say, you know what, Tim? He's in a 3 personal year this year. I'd say, you know what, Tim? Here's the deal. We're both in a 3 personal year. So this means that we're going to feel a little bit more social, a little bit scattered. We're going to, have difficulty putting things down on paper because our minds are really busy because it's a huge creative energy coming in. But you're going to go through it very differently than I'm going to go through it because your name on your birth certificate is different than mine. And that creates what's called an essence. So I want you to think of the 9-year cycle, 1 to 9, as a black and white template. It's the same for you as it is for me. It's the same for everybody, right? But our birth name creates the color that we're now going to take and throw against that black and white template to bring it to life so I can read it personally for you. Okay. This is like night and day, difference between night and day. This is what really helps you to understand what the heck I'm here for. Why am I going through this? Okay. The essences can bring in a huge influence that makes a dramatic impact on how you go through that personal year. Okay. So thank you, Tim, for providing me your chart. Now it's exposed to the world. So Tim's birth name, Timothy John Walter. We're just going to use a few examples here. So we know that he was born April 19th of 1962. Now, me as a numerologist looking at that, okay, just looking at that, I know that initially when Tim was born, up until about the age of, I'm going to say about 28, 29, you were under a cycle of 4 because April is the 4th month. Okay. So that would be about probably a lot of discipline going on, having to work very hard, getting through your education, starting up whatever business, when you're in the film industry and such. I don't know if that's when you were in the film industry, but getting your actually, why don't you unmute, Tim?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Up to 30-ish. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
In fact, when I was 29, we had our first son, and that was a major difference to everything, absolutely everything.
Oh, 100%, because your life path number is a 5 that says, I want my freedom. And all of a sudden you have this little person you have to be responsible for. What the hell? Like, you can send them back, like it's very difficult. It can be very, very difficult adjustment for parents who are 5s and then they're in this energy of the 4. So then we look at from about, I'm going to say around, 29, 30 up until about the age of maybe 53 or so. You have the influence of the 19, and the 19 is a karmic debt number. Okay. So it equates back to the number 1 because 1 and 9 is 10 and 1 plus 0 equals 1, but we don't reduce it because it's a karmic debt. So looking no further into your chart, I already know I'm dealing with an older soul. You've been here, you kicked the can around, you've got a few t-shirts, you know, you get some life experiences. This is not your first trip around the sun. So during that period of time between about 30 and, you know, 50-ish, a lot of independent action, a lot of, I've got to do it on my own. I have to make it on my own. I can't afford to let people think I don't have it figured out. I have to survive. I'm too scared to put up my hand to say, I don't understand, or I don't know, because I don't want people to think I'm stupid, because your image would have been really, really important to you during that timeline. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's a really, yes, it was certainly a tumultuous time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. There was all sorts of things being taken apart and reassembled, and yeah.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
a really good, that's an awesome point, because it's a 19. So we call it a 19-1, 19/1. So the 1 is you on either side. The 9 in the center, what do we know about the 9? The 9's about releasing that which is not serving us. And if you don't release it, the universe is going to blow it up.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, right?
That's
Yeah.
exactly what happened. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So from about the age, I'd have to look at your chart to see the actual timelines, but in and around the ages of 51, 52, up until the end of your life, your year is now going to take place and affect you. So that's 1 and 9 is 10, plus 6 is 16, plus 2 is 18, and 1 plus 8 equal 9. Here comes the interest in earth energy. Here comes an interest in teaching people and mentoring to people and making the planet a better place, making a social contribution, understanding Mother Nature and how she's hurting right now, tapping into earth vibrations, maybe thinking about eating clean, farming where you can, growing what you can, you know, just an overall view of the world, you know, like of the planet overall. Would that be fair to say? And
Yeah,
the interest in healing.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'm currently planning several veg beds out the back, so that's a classic. Yeah, not self-sufficient. We haven't got enough space, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. And so the 9, of course, is about healing as well, right?
Right.
Healing yourself, healing other people, healing the planet, you know, the extension. All right. So, right. So you can see here that started for you in January of 2021. Takes you right up until the end of your life. That's your 9. And you've also got what's called a pinnacle. I'm not going to get into all this stuff, but you've got a pinnacle of 4 that started in 2012. This is you building this business. This is you building something that's a little out there, right? That you kind of have to pioneer. And that's going to be until the end of your life. Okay. Now, we know, yay, we know that in 2023, you have been in a 3 personal year. Right. Now, remembering the 3 is about being a little bit more social, maybe doing more podcasts, you know, putting your work out there, building the school, building the Facebook group. You know, it's far more socially energetic. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah. I mean, almost to the extent that it's like too much. This
Yes.
is not me. Yeah.
Yeah. Not an easy energy. You being a 5, which is already kind of out there. And the 3 is also kind of scattered energy. So this would kind of cause you to feel a little uncomfortable, like, damn it, I should be doing something. You know, I should be creating something. I gotta make something happen. But it's like nothing would really concretely land for you this year.
Right.
Yeah. So, so let's take a look at that. So we know that you've been in a 3 personal year. The essence is a little different than the personal year. The personal year begins January 1st, ends December 31st, but the essence begins on your birthday and typically will end the day before your next birthday, but it is possible for an essence to remain the same for up to 9 years. Okay, so even though you get a new personal year every January, your essence can paint the same picture. It'll feel different because the energy of the personal year is different, but it'll be the same for several years. So knowing that you were born in April means that every time you come into January, you're bringing with you the energy or the essence that was with you the year before. Does that make sense?
Mm.
Okay. So we know that you were bringing with you into January of this year a 5 essence. So the 5 says, change, shake it up, make it different. What can I create? Oh, this could be fun, not so much. Maybe I could try. No. You know, and all these interests and all kinds of things, but you just can't get your head wrapped around it. So that wasn't exactly the best lineup for you because you already have a very creative energy going on, and that is your soul signature, your life path number. But when you came into your birthday on this year, 2023, you shifted into that 19-1 energy. Now, the 19-1 would be asking you to release and let go of the things that are standing in your way. And I feel like you would have really been giving a lot of consideration to the bits and pieces of your business, possibly maybe some financial stuff you got going on, a lot of, just a lot of stuff, looking at that going, all right, this isn't working for me anymore. It brings in a tremendous need to be independent, but it also brings in a tremendous need to be vulnerable, to allow yourself to be vulnerable. Did you feel that this year?
Yeah. Well, the vulnerability for sure. Definitely. Yes, and I mean the need to have things changed and take stuff out that isn't working. Sure, that's been a theme for the year. Yeah.
Absolutely. And possibly feeling a little bit overwhelmed by everything.
Oh, completely.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, the good news is, as you can look at, I mean, I'm a numerologist. I can look at that and go, oh, snapshot, I get it, right? But for those of you who aren't, when we look at this, it's a 3 personal year, okay, for Tim in 2023, which is a 7 universal influence. So he's thinking. He's in his head. He's already a head case. His life path number is a 5, right? So very, very difficult for us to create what we want to create. The 9 up here says, I want to do something. I want to make something happen. I recognize I've only got so much time to do it in, and time is ticking on, and damn it, I got to get on with it. And it just wouldn't allow you to do that this year, right? So, but this 19-1 is actually going to serve you better as we come over here to 2024, because now you're going to be in a 4 personal year, which is structure, which is focus, which is discipline. And there's a part of you that resists that because you're a 5, but you're not just a 5. You're what we call a 14-5. So this is what you need. This energy is what you're going to need. The discipline and the focus to say, okay, this is where I got to channel my energy. And I have to take independent action. I'm still on the lookout to release whatever's not working for me. I have to be okay with raising my hand to say, hey, need a little help here. This essence that you're in, Tim, is the reason I'm sitting in this chair right now. In 2003, I went through that essence in a 6 personal year. So we know that the 6 personal year is around the domestic side of life. Okay. When we bring in that 19-1, for me, it was like, I was so lost. I wanted out in such a bad way, but I wasn't willing to raise my hand. Nobody knew I was suffering. Absolutely nobody. I'm actually waiting for people to be quite shocked when they read my book, because I open up with the story around this particular essence. My family's going to be like, what? I had no idea. Well, they wouldn't, because I didn't tell them, right? So I want you to be careful in your 4 personal year as you're building the structure and whatnot, to leave the ego at the door. You can't be it all. You can't do it all. You want to do it all. You feel a responsibility to do it all, but you can't, right? So people will actually recognize it as your strength when you raise your hand to say, hey, don't know what's going on here. Can you help me out? They're not going to see that as a weakness, even though it feels that way. When you go into, sorry, did you have a question?
No, that's good. That's me mumbling to myself saying, yes, okay, I'll bear that in mind.
Mumble along, it's all good. So then we go into 2025, just to give you a glimpse. You'll be going into a 5 personal year. Now, you are a 5. Okay, so when your life path number, or soul signature number, as I prefer to call them, is the same as your personal year, you're going to feel it more than most. Okay, I'm a 7. When I go into a 7 personal year, I'm going to feel it more than you will, because you're a 5. Okay, so 2025 promises to be a lot of change, a lot of expansion, unexpected. Didn't see that coming. Probably some releasing and letting go. All right. And then, so when we look at, I'm sorry, did you have any questions about that before I move on?
No, it's all right. I just, any time somebody says there's going to be a lot of change, a lot of letting go, it's like, oh my God, okay, we'll see.
Right. Yeah. All right, put your goggles on and just do it. It's fine.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. Change is necessary. So soul signature number. This is kind of a word that I have trademarked for life path number, because life path number leaves way too much on the table as far as I'm concerned. So I want to show you here that Timothy John Walter was born April 19th of 1962. The way I prefer to break things down is to, and there are many different ways, okay, and I can't prove my way is right, but Tim, I've taught you enough times to know, and you and I've discussed this, this is your number. So April equals a 4, this is the 4th month. 19th day, we add it together, 1 plus 9, it comes to 10, but that's still a double digit, we need to reduce it. 1 plus 0 equals 1. 1962 adds up to 18, and 1 and 8 equal 9. So then we simply add those 3 numbers together. 4 plus 1 plus 9 equals 14, 5. So looking just at this, I see that I have somebody born on the 19th day, karmic debt. He was a badass in his previous lifetime, right? He beat people up to get ahead. He climbed up that corporate ladder, stomped on people to get ahead. Eat my dust. You know, I'm the guy to follow. Watch me put the spotlight on me. That didn't work out so well for you, okay? So in this lifetime, you have chosen to bring this karmic debt with you. This is not punishment. This is your opportunity to say, hey, I made a mess in that previous lifetime. I'm going to bring it back and I'm going to make a difference. Okay, I'm going to clean this up. So I love what you're doing because you are really cleaning this up. The 19-1 says, I need to be a leader again, but rather than being that hard-ass leader that, you know, pummels people, you're going to be somebody who works from a gentler approach, more intuitive, more healing. The goal for you is to help people to help themselves. Teach people tools that can help themselves. Rather than you being the hero that swoops in and goes, look at me, I'm all that, I fixed all that. Your inclination is to be the fixer. But the role that you play is to learn how to be that person who helps others to help themselves. Does that make sense?
It makes complete sense, yeah.
Right. It also says I need to be self-employed. Tick.
Yeah.
Right. You know that. But then now we look at your soul signature number 14-5, yet another karmic debt number. Okay. So 145. That means that in a previous lifetime, you blew it. You lost everything. You made some really poor choices. And you caused people a lot of grief, right? Because you lost all your money, you lost your home, you lost it all. Okay. And likely due to an addiction of some kind. Because the 5 is a very addictive number. Okay. So the 5 would have said, you know, food, drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever. This time you bring it forward and you're working through it. And when we break this number down, the 14-5, it's a code, right? They're all codes, but 1, 4, 5. The 1 says, I need to develop confidence in my creative potential. Hello, filmmaker. And so that I can develop the 4, which is a step-by-step plan, so that I can ultimately have the 5, which is the freedom that I so desire. So for you, you're always a contradiction. The 5 says, I want to play. The 4 says, no, you got to work. But I want to spend some money. No, sorry, you got to save it. I want to take a vacation. Nope, got to work. You know, the 4 is slow, steady Eddie. The 4 is what keeps you on track. The 4 is what's taunting you to, not taunting, the 5 taunts you to color outside of the lines, and the 4 says, no, bring it back. So basically, in a nutshell, it says, before you jump, you've got to pause, look at the plan. Have you executed a plan, right? Because you have to make the plan before you can have the freedom that you want. You have to study so you can get your education, so you can get the life that you want. Something like that. Make sense?
Yeah, good stuff.
Okay, last but not least. I've never gone this fast before in my life. Sorry, there's so much. Just trying to give you guys a bit of a taste for what this is all about.
Yeah, I'm hoping that everybody is kind of finding it interesting and can relate what you're talking about in terms of thinking about themselves. Because
Right.
I'm feeling like it's all focused on me, which I'm really not comfortable with, but that's
No,
okay.
no.
It's illustrating good points. So
We'd love to see you squirm in your chair.
yeah, Tom.
But I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to ask questions about their journey too. No question. But last but not least, very quickly, I want to talk about the growth number. So the growth number is quickly found by examining your first name as it's published on the birth certificate. So I found it interesting that your growth number is the same as mine. Okay. So my growth number is an 11. Yours is a 3811. Slightly different, but it's still an 11. I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of that. I didn't know about growth numbers until, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something. I didn't really pay attention to them. And I could never understand why I was called to mentor to the master number 11s. Okay, the master number 11 has a very, very high vibration. It's very misunderstood. These people feel like this is not their planet. They're not from here. And for some reason, I was called in to help them to understand who they are and what their journey is all about. And I'm a 7, so I'm a spiritual teacher, right? But it wasn't until I looked at my growth number and went, damn, I'm an 11. My growth number is an 11. Of course, that gave me a clue as to where I was meant to teach. Where was I meant to mentor? Okay. So in your case, you are dealing with very intuitive, a lot of psychic people who are trying to get their feet under themselves and trying to move forward with the dowsing and the house clearing and all the work that you're doing. You know, when we look at the 11 says, I must develop something. I must be inspired I must develop confidence within myself to create something very unique that will inspire others in some way. Okay. Tim is not meant to do something someone else has already done. You have to put Tim on it. You know what I mean? Like it has to be, this has been one of the largest struggles for me as I write my book, is not to write like any other numerologist. I had to really work very hard to stay true to me and put my authentic stamp on it. You're very much the same in that respect. You're not meant to do dowsing the way everybody else does. You're not meant to do the house clearing like everybody else does. You're meant to put your own spin on it. So you're doing it, right? It's awesome. So the growth number gives us a clue as to what's supporting our soul signature number. So it's derived by calculating all of the numbers related to the letters in your birth name, first birth name published. So for example, in here, if you were to do my name, as it's faster, we know that the A vibrates at the number 1 and the N vibrates at the number 5, and there's 2 of them. So 1 plus 5 plus 5 equals 11. And when we broke them all down for you, it comes up to 38, and 3 and 8 equals 11. So this can mean that our purpose is to inspire others and ourselves, acknowledging our brilliant ideas, because we do have them, and putting them into form. You and I have a very difficult time creating things unless we're inspired to do so. It has to come down through inspiration before it really makes us want to do it. We have a need to make a difference in the world through innovation. That calls us all the time. We always feel like we're supposed to be doing something much bigger than what we're currently doing. We are the older souls. We've lived and died many times. Okay, so we're always consciously aware that life could snuff out just like that. And we're like, great, I'm 98 years old and I still haven't done what I'm supposed to do. You know, what gets us stuck is our egos. Sometimes when we're just inspired to get the attention, and not. Your altruistic vision. And that is very true for you because you do have a large influence of the 9. You see things how they should be, how they ought to be, but you feel powerless to make the change. Very frustrating. Self-judgment, self-ridicule, fear of what other people think of us, fear of being seen and exposed. We have to work through all that. All right. That's it. So short plug for me. Want to learn more? I have my Clarity Seekers community. Check it out. You can find me on Numerologist.com. I do soul signature readings. They're on sale right now. I have a Facebook group. I have several Facebook groups actually, and I'm on Instagram, but I'm not going to lie, I don't do the posts. I have somebody who does them for me because I don't get on Instagram. I just don't. I really don't know how to navigate that. But I do have a huge following. A big following on YouTube, and I'd love for you guys to engage there and follow me there. That is it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I hope yes, indeed. Yes, a little ripple of applause, even if we can't hear you. But that's great. That's really good. I do hope everybody enjoyed that. Questions, and I'm going to hand it over to Dawn to facilitate the questions. Dawn's in charge.
Oh, well, thank you, Tim. So I'm going to kick it off with the first question. And on your website, are you in Canadian dollars or US dollars?
Well, I'm in US dollars. And the reason for that is because honestly, I do very few readings for Canadians. It's my business is very out there. And so I had to choose global currency, and that's where it's at. But I do pay the HST on any readings purchased out of Canada.
Marvelous. Thank you. So who's got a question for Anne? That was absolutely fascinating. I've learned stuff about me. Linda.
Hey, Linda.
Hello, sorry, I couldn't see the little icon to put your hand up, so that's why I did it that way. Anne, I was trying to follow what you were saying about it being an 8 universal year and tying that in with your personal year, and therefore with the recommendations of what you should do. And what you were saying was when it was the personal year number 7, there was a lot of recommendations about starting up a career. So I started to look at that with mine, and my personal year for this year would have been a 5, and I've done those recommendations this year and not been very successful. So would you interpret that I have to wait another 2 years before I do it all again?
Not at all. One of the reasons that I tried to give you such a broad scope of numerology, and honestly, guys, I gave you like the tick on a navel, of what we can actually see in a chart. But there are so many things, Linda, that are influencing your experience right now. There could be, you might have a 13-4 essence going on in your chart, okay? The 13-4 essence would be having you face obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. It's like, oh my God, when's this going to end? But the way in which you choose to respond to the obstacle is what is creating your reality, right? So my suggestion would be to really do a review of this past year. You said you just came you're coming out of a 5-year?
Yes.
Okay, so the 5 is super scattered, right? It's all over the place. It's very difficult. I mean, it is about change. It is about expansion, but it can be very difficult to nail anything down because you're kind of unfocused all over the place. I don't know what your life path number is. Do you want to share your date of birth?
Yeah, I'm happy to. 12/4/1955.
Damn Brits. What does that mean? Is that December 4th or April 12th?
Oh, 12th of April.
Okay, sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, what year? I'm being saucy.
Yeah, 1955.
1955, okay.
Mm-hmm.
3 and 4, so you're a 9. Okay, so already, Linda, you have this huge calling that says, I have to do something. I have to make a difference. I can't stand it. You're the empath. You're so sensitive. You're so tapped in to global energy. I want to make a difference. I want to make, a positive contribution. I know time is ticking on. You are the old soul, right? So it's frustrating for you, anything that's holding you back. And unfortunately, I can't really tell. Let me look at one more thing here.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was as black and white as I'm just a bit shy about marketing myself.
Oh heck, you know what? That's legit, right? But I will say that, Linda, is the name Linda the first name published on your birth certificate?
Yes.
So that creates a 22-4 master number. Talk about more pressure. Like, that's a lot of pressure on you to create. What I will say to that is that you're not meant to be doing this entirely by yourself. The 22-4 is made up of 2 2s and then a 4. Okay, the 4 is that foundation that you want to create, but the 2 2s say, I got to find people to engage with me. I've got to find partners who will support me, who will, help in the creation of whatever this foundation is that you want to create. You want to make a significant difference. And your entire life, you have felt like, I haven't contributed enough. And I don't have enough. Remember, the 4 is all about the focus, right? And right now you're kind of focusing on the fact that I didn't get enough done. I didn't get the business launched the way I wanted. I didn't get, forget it. You got to go back and take inventory of what you did do. You created a YouTube video. Hello, that's huge, right? You're getting it up on YouTube. Guess what? That's huge. You know how many people would never do that? not in their wildest dreams, especially somebody who has such a big interest in making sure that it's perfect, right? Been there, got the t-shirts. I laugh every time I look at one of my videos. The very first video I ever put up on YouTube has got like 400,000 views or something ridiculous, right? It is the crunchiest granola video you're ever going to want to see, because I didn't even know if my computer knew how to record at that point. But it was still one of my best videos. Just do it. How long are you going to ask people to wait for your gift? Just do it. They won't watch you if they don't like you. They won't watch you. I can count on one hand how many times I have people trashing me. And honest to God, it's funny. I got one yesterday, actually. Someone trashed me because I made a mistake on a calculation during a live. And he's like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And you know, somebody came in and just pummeled them. just like, how dare you talk to her like this? And it was so funny. So you'll develop that relationship with your subscribers. So don't be afraid. Just do it. Just do you. Yeah. Just do you. Anybody else?
Thanks, Linda, for the question. Anybody else got a question? I'm conscious of time. We're just coming past the quarter after. Melanie.
Can I just ask a question? I didn't exist for 4 months of my life. I didn't legally exist at all. And then my mother abandoned me in a dog basket on a train station with no name.
Wow.
And then I was adopted.
Okay.
And then I was abandoned again. And then I got given my real name by my real mother. So would that make a big difference? I was so confused as a kid. I didn't know what my name was till I was 6.
Wow. Wow. Okay. So as difficult as it is to accept, I feel, you know, I do believe that we choose our circumstances.
Oh yeah,
right?
no, I accept that. I don't know. I just don't know what to calculate. That's all.
Right. Okay.
I don't have a problem with what happened.
So
That's just
if I was to do your chart, Melanie, I would do both. And then we would talk about it and I would say, okay, Melanie, how do you feel about this? We talk about this. And you're like, yeah, doesn't really, oh, how about this? That's making more sense, right? It's never going to be about me being right.
No, I understand.
It's going to be about me making sure that you connect the dots. It's kind of like when we do the calculations for, and I haven't looked at Tim's, but when we do the calculations, there are some people that prefer to just add the number straight across. Okay. And you come up to, in this case, it might be like a 23.5. Well, 23.5 is a very different person than a 14.5. So if that were the case, I'd say, okay, Tim, are you dealing with the sub-lessons related to the 2? And I would explain them, or the 3, I would explain them. Or do you resonate more with the lessons related to the 1 and the 4? And I would explain them. So you get to choose. Okay. So that's how I help people to connect to what their soul's agreements were, and the contract, your soul contract, is by, in your case, I'd have to do 2 charts. And I'm totally happy to do that if you want to reach out at some point. That's the only way you're going to be able to really sort it out.
Well, I do astrology, and I actually had my chart rectified backwards, because I didn't even know the day I was born or what time or anything, because my mother didn't write it down. But I've had that done, so I know my exact date and exact time, which used to drive me insane because I didn't know who the hell I was.
Do you have a real big need for your freedom?
Oh yeah, need for freedom.
Yeah. Well, Melanie vibrates to the vibration of the number 5.
Yeah,
it is about freedom and change and shake it up and explore things, and yeah.
Thank you. No, but I think that's my real name. That's why I was just wondering, because I thought I was given other names and none of them were really mine. So
yeah, I feel it is. I think you're right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Time for one more question. If anybody would like to raise the hand. Marie.
Hi. I was just wondering, so does the growth number, does that relate only to the first name?
Yes.
Okay. Thanks.
There is some value to exploring the family name as well, but what we're talking about today is the number that actually supports your soul signature number. And Tim, I can send you a link to a video that I created for the growth number if you like.
That would be great. Yeah.
If you want to send the links.
Yeah, do send them to. Also, copy in Dawn as well would be great.
Yeah.
She's got those. I was just thinking then. I mean, we were talking about the first names, and obviously you use the name as on the birth certificate.
Correct.
whereas, you know, I so rarely use Timothy as
Right.
as a, you know, an energy resonance. Does that not make any difference?
Not as far as the growth number goes,
Okay.
but when we start looking at a chart, it's a really good question. When you deviate your name in any way that it shows from the birth certificate, so in your case, you go by Tim Walter rather than Timothy Walter, right? So we have to create the chart based on the birth name, because that's the vibration that you chose to bring in with you to create your lesson plan. But when you change your name in any way, and I don't remember what your chart looks like. Actually, give me 2 seconds. I can tell you.
Okay. Sorry.
Right, no, it's right here. So in your particular, okay.
Yeah, you must plug your book as well. Yeah.
Well, no, this is your life path doesn't change because that's based on your date of birth. Your birth date energy doesn't change because that's based on the day of your birth. But your expression number that you brought with you in your soul's contract is a 2. When you reduced your name from Timothy John Walter to just Tim Walter, that energy changed to a 13-4, another karmic debt. Go Tim. Okay. So this one, we need to know that when we change our name, what we're doing is we are showing, this is the way people see us. Okay. And I feel like you've grown out of this, to be honest. The expression number that you brought in is that 13-4. So the 13-4 has a tendency to be a little bit of a victim. Now think early on in your career, like, you know, when you were much younger, you might have fallen to that as calling yourself Tim, you might have fallen to a bit of a victim mentality. Why does this always happen to me? Why do I never get the job? Why does this film fail? Why does it, whatever, right? You know, why is this always happening to me, until you can morph into it's happening through me and for me. Fair enough?
Yeah. Makes complete sense. Yeah.
And then sorry.
Go on. No, go on. If I'm going to book a session with you, Anne, so we can go into this in more detail. We must.
Your expression or your heart's desire number is a 7. Okay. So that's that interest in the spirituality. That's these numbers don't change, by the way. The 2 and the 7, they will always be constant for you. But the way people see you is now based on Tim Walter. So it changes from the 7. It's now going to the 6. So what people see about you is somebody who really cares, right? Someone who's very responsible. They've got your back. They really care about you. They're very, very much a perfectionist, you know, balanced, care about family, that sort of thing. Wants to be of service. People see that in you, right? Because you are now Tim Walter. So the only hesitation would be that, you know, that expression number. But again, I think you've worked hard to develop as a person into that, away from that, so that the 4 now says to people, you know, I'm going to be very routine. I'm going to be respectful of your time. I'm going to be, if you ask me to do a project, it'll be detail oriented, all that sort of thing. That's what you're showing them. You're not showing them that victim side anymore because you've outgrown the t-shirt.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Yeah.
And thank you so much. We have a question about title of your book.
Oh, it just came to me. Thank you for asking. Soul Signature Numerology. It's not published, by the way, not yet, not until the spring. Soul Signature Numerology, a deep dive into your unique birth code.
Excellent.
When it is published, Anne, please let us know. We can post that on our Facebook group so that people can reach out and buy the book. Thank you so much, Anne. It's like unwrapping an onion, isn't it?
Layer after layer. You're absolutely right, Dawn. So true.
Totally illuminating. Would encourage anybody to reach out to Anne via her website, book a reading. I'm certainly contemplating it for the new year. Looks like Tim is. We know lots about Tim now, which is thank you for being open to that. The recording will be up in a couple of hours, and all I want to say is thank you for a great year, and thanks, Tim, for creating the space for us all together, and happy holidays. Tim, I will leave the final words to you.
Oh, bless. Well, thank you very much, Dawn, for all your wonderful work this year, and thank you to everybody that has been involved in this embryonic year of the network. It's been fantastic, and I think it's actually wonderful that Anne has been with us in the last one of the year. So that's beautiful. So thank you very much indeed to you all, and let's do it all again next year. And thanks again to Melanie for her sterling work. It's brilliant to know that you're there, Melanie. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
It's so wonderful. Great.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
See you all in 2024. We'll have to buckle up and enjoy the ride, I think.
Bye,
Nice and
everyone.
relaxed.
Bye. Thank you very much.
You're so welcome.